Oh, here we are. Talking about cold turkey. Cold Adam. Just he's not here and then he is. Hello, everyone. I'm here again to rattle your thoughts about reality and change and our relationship to it. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. What do I have planned today? First of all, you see, I'm still changing things here. I've got all this blackness around me, and you could say it's full potential. There's nothing there, relatively speaking, and there could be virtually anything there. It's really fascinating when you start to notice that. I am working on a presentation for a co op business platform. I'm still working on it. And I'm working on my presentation. I'm working on my set, so to speak. Um, I do have a green screen behind me, but I'm not using it at the moment because I'm working my lights out, and so I'm kind of. This is kind of not kind of. This is a work in progress. I have been also working on some and editing some videos that I've done before. I mean, I've been out talking. I'll go out and sit in front of the camera and I just talk about this, and I'll talk about that. And yet they're still sitting there on my computer here, and I have not published them yet. So I've got some things to publish here soon. I have things I do want to not just say, I want to share because these are insights that they go beyond what's apparent. They go, you know, the idea basically is to move things away. We start talking about what's enlightenment. Like in one respect, we everyone's got their idea of what enlightenment is, what it means, and in some respects, we're thinking that this is a situation where okay, all this information is coming in. Perhaps all this power now comes in, and it's something that maybe I can read people's minds, maybe I can levitate, maybe I can do some really interesting things. I don't think that's what it is personally. And I do also now realize that each one of us has our own perspective. And the thing about that, being the ownership of our own perspective, is that we are going to be right about it as it relates to us, as it relates to each one. The perspective that I have, the things and that are true, so to speak, are true to the extent that they embody my particular one perspective, my beliefs, my knowledge, whatever it is I've gained over this time that I've been here, my understandings, my inner standings. We talk about understandings. I think we have inner standings too, or certainly the potential of it, because much of the words, much of the ideas and beliefs that we actually base our life and our experiences on are on understandings that we have inherited, that they've been passed on to us by others who we tend to think know more than we do. Okay. Now, in some cases, it's absolutely true. They've been here longer. They're teachers. They're our parents. They're our family members. They're people who have influenced us all throughout our lives. And in fact, whatever it is we have embraced as a product of those relationships, they are part of, well, what creates and how we create our experience. And our experience, though, is our unique product, our unique creation as a function of all the choices that we have made over the course of our lifetimes, what we've learned as well as what we've not learned, the attitudes that we've taken to actually grow and build things, as well as those attitudes that we have adopted, which basically tore things down. I come to you and I do this because it's become evident to me from at least my searching, my not just understanding, but understanding that we have, we are the creators of our experience. And if there are aspects of our experience that are below or outside of spec relative to what we would prefer to have to be experiencing, that the abilities as well as the response abilities are within ourselves, within each of us to do it. It's not something where, um, contrary to perhaps some people's hopes, someone is going to come and actually take care of all this for us. Something is going to come with our resonance with it, with our connection with it, but it's going to come through us, not to us. And so it's actually already there. It's like a seed that is planted. In fact, the fact that we exist, the fact that we live, the fact that you can be, you know, has there's some meaning to the things that I'm saying, that you can match with the meaning that you perceive about these ideas, say if you have them, or perhaps these are new concepts. It doesn't really matter. That is how we get the opportunity to begin to change consciously the nature and the quality of our life experience. So a lot of interest and a lot of attention has moved in the area of um, income and of wealth and of money. And we have perceptions that have been really burned in. You talk about, it's not a road less traveled, it's a road that is very, very crowded. It's not a freeway for sure, it's a tollway that people are running on or walking on and trying to get on, so to speak, relative to some holy grail of something called money that they uh, are seeking, they are needing, and they are, in some respects, thinking is going to be coming to them. Yet, being perhaps aware of the consciousness that they habituate, that they consider normal. That consciousness is the way they look at things, the way we behave, the way we do certain things, which actually perpetuates what we are presently experiencing. And so when I've talked about, well, first of all, there are ways to change things, but they begin with consciousness. And there are people, what I want to share, I got a screen set up to have a share a little video. And this is the way at this moment that we're doing this, we've been talking about, and our attention has been like, for example, at Maui and the fires that have happened, the events that have occurred there, and the evidence that is coming out of there, that there's not, this is not a random experience. Apparently, there's been a, a public expression of intention to make not only Maui, not only and maybe particularly the area that's was affected, that, you know, with all this devastation, but the state of Hawaii. But they're looking to go to this smart situation, so to speak, and following some uh, guidelines that have been put out by a particular group. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share a video. I'll bring up my little screen. And this video was shown in a little meeting that, uh, online Zoom meeting that I attend every Saturday with the Smarter Than Money group. This is a collective of people who are members of the cooperative system, this cooperative platform called Co op Business that I've been talking about, and I find great merit to. So I'm going to bring up the screen. Let's see, let's switch over to this screen here. I'm going to start this video. The first voice is going to be Greg Baldwin, who put the who's doing the talking. So that's his voiceover. But then the latter part, it's about 3 minutes long, is Elon Musk, and Greg sets it up. I may stop it with a comment here and there, but it's not going to be that long. So first of all, let me get it started, and if I have a stop,
I want you guys, I've shared this before, but I want you guys to hear from Elon Musk, who's a part of the World Economic Forum as well.
okay.
And he's talking about artificial intelligence and what it's going to do in terms of displacing human beings and the introduction of UBI.
A lot of people are thinking about loss in terms of displacement and loss of livelihood, loss of, well, you're going to see more about this. These are attitude issues which we actually need to address, not because of the AI, they need to be addressed anyway. But here is the thinking on the side, and you're going to hear from Elon Musk and the person who's asking him questions. But I want you to consider that the people in this group that Greg will describe, these are people who do not share the vast majority of the world population's more pressing need, so to speak, for something called money. And I have some thoughts beyond that, but most people are dealing with their present status of money and their concerns or issues with the possibilities of AI are associated with that. But the people who are talking here and who are making the various plans, because they are making plans, they don't have the same concern. So it's interesting to hear from someone who is not in that particular state um, of experience, and see how they are looking at those who are, and they are making plans for them, so to speak. So, with all that,
And when this guy is interviewing him, you can see how it's already staged. He knows what's coming, but he's acting as if Elon Musk is just breaking news. Everyone in this, guys can see here, this is the World Government Summit. The World Government Summit. Put that in perspective. You're not going to see this on the news, ladies and gentlemen. See, part of what we do here at Smarter Than Money is we should try to help all of our members understand the global impact of what it is that we're doing. This is not just about your success. This is about significance in the lives of human beings all around the planet, what we're doing here. So let's go ahead and play this real quickly, okay? Let's see what goes on.
There will be fewer and fewer jobs that a robot cannot do better.
okay.
What to do about mass unemployment? This is going to be a massive social challenge. And I think ultimately we will have to have some kind of universal basic income. I don't think we're going to have a choice.
Universal basic income.
Universal basic income. I think it's going to be necessary.
So it means that unemployed people will be paid across the globe.
Yeah.
Because there is no job, machine, robot is taking over.
And I want to be clear that these are not things that I think that I wish would happen. These are simply things that I think probably will happen. And if my assessment is correct and they probably will happen, then we need to say, what are we going to do about it? And I think some kind of a universal basic income is going to be necessary. Now, the output of goods and services will be extremely high. So with automation, there will come abundance. There will be almost everything will get very cheap. I think the biggest, I think we'll just end up doing a universal basic income. It's going to be necessary. The harder challenge, much harder challenge, is how do people then have meaning? Like a lot of people, they derive their meaning from their employment. So if you don't have
Types of things that even drive him. I mean, certainly something drove him to do the things he did. Now, the fact of the matter is, each one of us has the same type of thing. We have habituated the idea that our value exists within service to someone else's vision for the purposes of making money, which in and of itself can and oftentimes is quite meaningless and quite thankless. And so it's just it's unwise to sit back and simply make that presumption that if you don't have a job, especially one that you don't already love, if you're not doing something that you love, that you're involved in, that you would actually do, even if you weren't being paid for it, then that's another way of looking at things. And it's another driving factor that's not being taken into consideration here. The other thing that's being looked at here, and I'll have some comments on the UBI just as though this is almost done.
if you're not needed, if there's not a need for your labor, how do you, what's the meaning? Do you have meaning? Do you feel useless? That's a much harder problem to deal with.
All right. You see, that is a much harder problem to deal with, but quite frankly, it may not be a problem whatsoever. If a robot can do something that's repetitive, that's precise, that gets better with speed, or he can do it at the same level of efficiency and effectiveness at a higher speed. Hallelujah. Okay, that does free people up. The idea of loss and people getting angry or upset or taking exception if and as that ability or this replacement occurs. Some of this is simply being projected out as part of the social and the cognitive landscape. The fact of the matter is, when you have something that you want to do, when you have a vision, because within each of us is a natural proclivity to improve. And it's fascinating that by the time you get out of a school of quote unquote higher learning, a lot of that proclivity has been somehow dissipated and emaciated, so to speak, by being bombarded with information that is, one, not relative to the here and now, not relevant to the here and now. It's about history, okay? It's about this, it's about then and there, it's about others and venerating them, whether the veneration is warranted or not. And it is not about nurturing or discovering or exploring and encouraging one's own discovery of their own gifts, their own awareness that they have them, the exercising of them. Your unique perspective also doesn't come with simply, it's like you're not a commodity. The education system, the socialization system is bottom line the commoditation. Does that work? Of the individual. You get to a place when you get out of that system and you work your way through that you basically want to stay blended, so to speak, in. You don't want to stand out. You don't want to be the first. You don't want to be the last. The common and consistent state of consciousness is not wanting. And on the other hand, it is always needing. You're needing someone's approval. You're needing someone's blessings. You're needing someone to grace you with their what we want to do. We wear and create this thing called debt, another idea, and then an indebtedness, and then we go bow and present ourselves to someone or some organization to essentially petition them to see if they will give us the opportunity to owe them something called money. And the reciprocity part, the value that we literally bring to the table is not regarded. Their position basically is to get the most that they can out of each for giving up the least. And needless to say, interestingly enough, the value, so to speak, of that quote unquote money is dependent upon the quality of the value of the being themselves, the self-image, the self-esteem, the skills, the regard, the attitudes. They're all dependent upon those factors of value, which are priceless. And quite frankly, when a person decides to apply those traits to their own vision, to their own activities, then that's when the value within oneself starts to grow. We are not associated, we're not accustomed to treating ourselves as value creators. See, we don't realize that we are the ones that make the value, that provide the intelligence, not artificial intelligence, the real intelligence, the activities, the knowledge, and everything else that actually makes ideas move from an idea, with apparently no value to something that presently has tremendous amount of value. I was just listening, some years ago, to 2008, 2009. That's 13 years or so from now at this point in time. And the crypto space didn't exist. Bitcoin was a new idea that was created by some people in the wake of the real estate bubble. I think it was something happened, and all that occurred. Someone created this thing called Bitcoin, and they made the first transaction of this cryptocurrency, as it's called, uh, buying a pizza with 10,000 Bitcoin. And the person who was willing to accept that pizza decided to accept it, 10,000 of them for one pizza. Now, as more and more people began to use that, um, com- I'm going to say that asset, that new form of value exchange. That's what it was. It's a new form of value exchange. And as more people began to use it, the value of each piece began to rise. And here we are 13 or so years later, and I'm reading something because there are all the Bitcoin advocates and the supporters and stuff like that. And one of the experts was basically saying that, well, if this ETF thing occurs or is approved, then the base price of a one Bitcoin would be around $150,000. And so, how does that go from where 10,000 gets you a pizza in 2009 to where one of those things can be set at $150,000? And a whole bunch of people are going to be wanting to have a piece of a Bitcoin or a whole bunch of them. Because why? Most people are thinking that the value is in the Bitcoin. Nope, no. The value is in the numbers of people who think the value is in the coin itself. there are no Bitcoins per se. They're the value. It's people who have the idea that holding a piece, that converting some of their true value into, a, like I say, an exchangeable form that allows them to get some Bitcoin. That's where the value is. And now, as we're getting along over these years, these institutions have basically been saying, crypto space is a scam, this, that, and the other. There's nothing to it. This has been the ongoing marginalization of the human being. This is the ongoing dismissal of you and myself and each one of us, because we're not our value, our role as the creators of value. It's us, it's you, it's me, it's always has been. And see, here's the deal. I'm working on something, and I'm going to see if I can find this while I'm talking. Here it is. In Greg's presentation, he also had a, a graphic up, which I'm not going to show, but it basically says this: who controls the issuance of money controls the government. This statement is attributed to Nathan Meyer or Mayer Rothschild. This would have been done a couple hundred years ago. Okay. Well, that's who controls the issuance of money. Guess what? Who controls the issuance? Who controls the direction, the issuance and direction of value? Controls and decides where the quote unquote money goes. Ultimately, we are the creators of value, and where we decide to send it, this determines who gets to collect some. Now, the thing that happens here in our society, in our cultural habits, is that we have become accustomed to not thinking about ourselves, for one thing, and essentially not valuing not only ourselves, but valuing each other. See, the point is, you treat someone else the way you want to be treated. It's pretty simple. But if you have regard for yourself, you'll treat others in the way you want to be treated. And when you treat others the way you want to be treated, because of the true reciprocity of, you might say, creation, you will receive in kind what you put out. And so, because we have the possibilities of what I call denial, people say he's a climate denier, he's a this denier. Well, excuse me. We are many ways responsibility deniers of ourselves. We are to be a responsibility denier is a power denier. You are a powerful being. I'm a powerful being who basically just simply habitually misuses our power because we think little of ourselves and we're accustomed to doing so. If we are in a fearful state of mind, for example, which is often for many, many people, then we're going to have low levels of what I would say satisfactory interactions with people. In general, it's going to be habitual because we will tend to do those kind of behaviors over and over again. So the change must occur within ourselves. The power is within us at all times, but the point of deciding to do and make that change comes from within and comes whenever, okay, so to speak. So I'll be talking more about this, but with respect to cooperation and this cooperative system, it's taking those factors into play. You cannot succeed at this particular system by being negative. You cannot succeed by sitting and deciding you're going to do nothing, you're going to say nothing positive, you're not going to share, etc., with someone else. You're not going to treat someone the way you wish they would treat you. And the point basically is that when anyone does this, each person who does this, each one of them reaps a benefit because they're putting out in a certain manner and they will receive back in that same manner with mathematical certainty. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go off here at this point. I'm still working on my presentation. I'm waiting for, some lights did come in, but I still have some things I have to do, and I will continue to build my little platform here. And I will likely be back on tomorrow. There are some more announcements to be made from David Rosen about the co op ecosystem. And he made an announcement yesterday. And I'm going to process and I'm going to put some of that in perspective. But I did put my invitation link down, and I'm extending an invitation to each to consider this system. But I'm going to be, because it is not about the money. It's not about the money that you get, but it is about the value not only that you create, but the value that you and the stream of value that you set up, the stream of value that you create and you set up to receive because you put out, you gave in a particular manner, with a particular quality, with a particular intention. And so I'm going to stop at that. I'm going to continue to figure out how to put some intros and outros in and stuff like that. And thank you for watching and wish you peace, prosperity, good health. And just so you know, I love you all. Take care.